What is going on, everybody? KMess here for Birds vs. Boys, and I'm here to talk about the Mike McCarthy era in Dallas coming to an end. It officially was reported by Tom Pelissero today, Monday, that Mike McCarthy will not be coming back as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. His contract ends tomorrow, Tuesday, January 14th, but it comes out today, January 13th, that Mike is out and he is able to start speaking with other organizations immediately. He does not have to wait until the 14th is over at midnight tonight for his contract to be up. He could be flying to New Orleans or Chicago, having interviews at this very moment if he chooses to do so, and if other organizations choose to do that as well. And rumors on the street, Bears are interested, Saints are interested, and there are a lot of connections with both, especially in New Orleans, where he was a former offensive coordinator and has many connections to the now general manager and former general manager. So it would be not a surprise if Mike ends up in New Orleans. But I'm not here to talk about the Saints. We're here to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm going to put this in kind of a two-part segment here for this video. Thank you for watching here on the YouTube page. First of all, Birds vs. Boys Pod. If it's your first time here, thank you very much. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. And we do full episodes as well. Everywhere you listen to podcasts, we are there. Everywhere on social media, we are there. Birds vs. Boys Pod. My co-host, Aiden Powers, covers the Eagles. Very, very, very happy after the Eagles pick up a wild card win at home against the Packers, and they will find out tonight who their opponent is, whether it be the Vikings or the Rams, after the Commanders beat the Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football. But the Dallas Cowboys not playing for the Lombardi Trophy this year, but who knows? Maybe soon they will be with a new head coach. But Mike McCarthy's era is over. And like I said, I'm going to put it in two parts, the Mike McCarthy era, and then what is next for the Dallas Cowboys, what I think is next, and what maybe I hope is next. Mike ends his tenure in Dallas with a record of 49-35. Good record. He may go down as the third best coach, technically, behind Jimmy, behind Landry. I mean, Switzer won a Super Bowl, right? Yeah, it was Jimmy's, but the tenure wasn't there. 5 years, 49-35. Does that mean it was successful? Had a winning record. 3 straight 12-win seasons until this year, going 7-10. The first year was a disaster. We know it was the COVID year. We know it was his first year, but that situation was not handled well. Mike had success with backup quarterbacks, right? He won games with Cooper Rush. When Dak got injured this year, Dak got injured previously, Cooper Rush won big games. And it showed that, maybe McCarthy's system, you can plug and play, and quarterbacks with less talent can come in and manage and win games. Got to give him props on that. Got to give him kudos on that. He won games. But was he brought to Dallas just to win some games? He was brought to Dallas to be the difference maker, to be the guy that put them over the top. Because this team wasn't horrible under Jason Garrett. It wasn't horrible like when Bill Parcells came in here, and we can argue about greatest coaching jobs in the history of the Dallas Cowboys, but Bill Parcells winning 10 games with Quincy Carter at the helm and bringing them to the playoffs. Yes, they were one and done and lost to Carolina, but that was a heck of a coaching job. Mike was brought here not to be Jason Garrett. He was supposed to be the guy that brought them over the hump, brought them success in January. He was the guy that lifted a Lombardi Trophy in that stadium, won a Super Bowl with his team in that home locker room. We heard it a lot. Mike talked about it all the time. But he wasn't that guy. He didn't deliver that. His last time in the playoffs for the Dallas Cowboys, the team got run out of the building at home against the 7 seed. You were the 2 seed. He didn't deliver in January. He is 49 and 35 as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. 1 playoff win. 1 in Tampa Bay. Yeah, it was against Tom Brady, and it was Tom Brady's last game, and that was Dak's probably best game of his career. That's it. Jason Garrett has 2 playoff wins. I think it was time. I've been saying it's time. The Dallas Cowboys have been the most undisciplined team for the last 5 years under Mike McCarthy. Way too many penalties. Pre-snap penalties, in-play penalties, stupid penalties, lining offsides. And Mike can talk about it he's blue in the face about got to get better at pre-snap penalties, no time for it. Yeah, we know. But those things didn't change under Mike McCarthy. His offense was archaic. Last year, when he implemented his offense for the first time after taking over play calling, the offense was anemic, was horrendous. It wasn't until after the bye, once they got embarrassed, and Dak Prescott had much more of a say in the offense, and we saw things drastically change, that the offense improved big time, went down the stretch and won the NFC East. And this year we saw it again, even when Dak was in there. And Dak did not play well this year. But the offense is behind the times. We need a difference maker calling plays. And there was talk that Mike might come back, but he would be more of in a babysitter role, going back to the CEO role, and somebody else would come in and call plays, which I would have been okay with. But it's not happening. Now, we're going to hear tit for tat nonstop about what really happened in this week-long, quote-unquote, negotiation period where Mike and Jerry and Steven were locked in a room since the end of the season, and they were talking about this season and the past 5 years, and rumors are coming out now that they never got to negotiations in terms of contracts, but then Mike is coming out and saying that they couldn't agree on length of contract. And it seems like Mike made the decision to move on. I think it was mutual. I don't blame Jerry for not wanting to give him a long-term deal. Why should he? He's had 5 years. You're going to give him another 4 or 5 years? Now, I didn't like the way that Jerry made the entire coaching staff play on a 1-year expiring deal this year, basically. These people have families. They have lives. I'm sure it was extremely distracting all season long. But I'm good with the decision. I don't think the Joneses fully made the decision themselves. I'm not going to give them credit on that, saying, oh, finally they made the decision. They're going to move forward and they're going to go out and they're going to get the next Sean McVay, or they're going to trade for McVay, or they're going to put all their money on the table and go get Ben Johnson. And we don't even know if Ben Johnson's going to be a good head coach. But I'm excited for change. Now, what's next? Do I think change means something drastic? Unfortunately, no. I tweeted out on July 31st, my expectations were the Cowboys would underachieve. The Cowboys would not bring McCarthy back. The Eagles' offense would look very good this year, which they have. And Jerry would bring back Kellen Moore as the head coach. And then at the press conference, Jerry Jones would say something like, if you love something, you let it go. And if it comes back to you, it was always yours. Meaning he let Kellen go. And now here he is back in the graces of the Cowboys family. That's the most. And now Kellen Moore is the betting odds favorite to become the next Dallas Cowboys head coach. It's not a sexy pick. It doesn't really do much for me. We've seen the offense. Kellen's gotten interviews by other organizations and has not gotten a head coaching job. He was one and done in LA with the Chargers. But what are the Joneses like? They either like experience or they like familiarity. And he is familiar. Another name that does not have experience but is familiar is Jason Witten. Now, I think Jason Witten's going to be on the Cowboys staff next year one way or another. And it may be that they hire somebody else and they say, this Jason has to be on your staff. Jason's going to be offensive coordinator or something like that. Or they're going to make the boneheaded call that Jason Garrett is their new head coach, coming straight from the high school ranks, winning the state championship in Texas. Now, Jason Garrett jumped right out of the field and took a job over his head in the booth. Let's hope he doesn't do that again. But hey, maybe Jason Witten will be the next Tom Landry. We don't know, but he needs more experience. So you have Kellen Moore on there. You have Jason Witten on there. I don't think Deion is a realistic option here. And the Cowboys are a circus enough. I don't think we need to bring the Deion Sanders Coach Prime circus Netflix to Dallas to make it more of a circus. And I absolutely do not want Shedeur Sanders anywhere near my football team as a quarterback. So let's just move that aside. Those are kind of the big names. Then there's John Gruden, experience, somebody who Jerry has said he has admiration for, somebody that kind of fits the bill of a Cowboys coach, has a less of a more impressive record all time than Mike McCarthy. Now we know has had lesser quarterback play than Mike had in Green Bay and here in Dallas, et cetera. But I think Gruden will be on the list. I would not be surprised if Doug Peterson is on the list. Again, experienced, has won a Super Bowl. It was the same play that they said about McCarthy, right? Super Bowl winning head coach. Jerry loves to tout that. Doug is a CEO type guy. So I could see Doug Peterson being on there. Maybe they interview some of the young guys. Ben Johnson, Slowick. Maybe they try to go to the college ranks. I don't see a chance. My guy, Marcus Freeman, would take that job. No way. Maybe they talk to Sark, but I don't think there's a chance because they're not going to pay Sark what he gets paid in Texas, and Jerry's not going to pay that buyout either. And if you're Sark, why? The name that I'm hoping for, former Dallas Cowboy player, you got some familiarity there. A coach right now who is at one of the premier programs in the NFL and a team and an organization I want the Dallas Cowboys to emulate. And I can't believe I'm saying that after all the years Detroit has been down. But Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Now, people are, we need an offensive mind. Think of it this way. You need a change in culture. You need a change in toughness. This team hasn't been tough. They get punched in the mouth all the time. You need a change in culture, in toughness, in attitude, and just overall culture in general. And I think Aaron Glenn can do that. The other thing I think he can bring is a young offensive mind because he's coached against all of the best. Is there one in Detroit he can bring? Maybe he can get McCown, quarterback's coach, Minnesota, who everybody loves. Maybe you can get him to come down and be the OC. I think he can build a young, aggressive staff. And I think he can change the culture. I think he can get buy-in from players. And I think he can have coaches on the offensive side that can come and run that side of the ball for him so he can build up this defense around Micah Parsons and Bland and those guys and create a winning culture and a winning program in Dallas. So Aaron Glenn is the guy that I am looking for. Now, they're going to have to wait until Detroit is eliminated from the playoffs. And hand to God here, I mean, I hope they're not eliminated anytime soon because I think they have a shot to beat the Eagles. And it's anybody but Philly here in my house, except for my wife being an Eagles fan and trying to convert both my children to Eagles fans. Anybody but Philly. So I don't think the Cowboys and Jerry Jones are going to be in a rush. They weren't in a rush for the last week when they would have had a chance to interview some of these guys on a bye. And then they're going to play it out, hopefully do their due diligence this time because they absolutely did not do it last time. If you remember correctly, when they moved on from Jason Garrett, it was very similar. I don't even think they made an announcement. They just let Jason's contract expire. He was walking around the start Frisco for the week, 2 weeks after the season, hanging around cubicles, asking interns to go to lunch because he had nothing else to do. And then all of a sudden he walked around the corner and there was the Mike McCarthy press conference. They didn't even tell him. He was the guy from the one movie where he had the stapler. You made Office Space. You see my stapler? They just stopped paying him. So I don't see a rush here. I just hope they do their due diligence because, like I said, when they moved on from Jason, they interviewed Mike McCarthy, they interviewed Marvin Lewis, and they interviewed Ron Rivera, and that was it. And they were out to dinner with Mike McCarthy, and little Jerry Jones Jr. leaned over to Jerry and said, I think we found our guy, and that was that. And that's unacceptable. Go out, interview the candidates, really interview them, find out their philosophy. What are they looking to do? How are they going to build a program? Who's their offensive line coach, et cetera, et cetera? How are they going to build this program? Because this is the way and the only way that the Dallas Cowboys can start heading in the right direction. Coaches can make a difference. I know you're going to say, some people are going to say, well, you still have Dak Prescott as a quarterback. Yes. But look what Kevin O'Connell has done in Minnesota with Sam Darnold. You can't tell me a coach doesn't make a difference. Hire the right coach, get the fan base reignited, and we'll see what happens. Or hire Kellen Moore and have him be a puppet and let everybody stay on the hamster wheel. We'll see where we're at. So that is that. Mike McCarthy is out. Stay here at Birds vs. Boys. I will give updates as we go, reactions to who they interview, each candidate, what we're thinking. And Aiden will continue to do playoff reaction. Hopefully not too much longer, and we can dive into the draft show together in this offseason. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you have not yet, again, subscribe to the Birds vs. Boys YouTube page. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, we are there. Let's see what Jerry and Steven do.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone. If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes. Bob Hope. I'm going to drink bleach. That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.